Jack wiped the sweat from his forehead as he pulled his old pickup truck into the small gas station on the edge of town. It was late at night, and the air was cool and quiet. The gas station was almost empty except for the bright lights and the soft humming sound of the pumps. Jack was tired after a long day of work. He worked 2 jobs to support his young son, David. Life was hard, but Jack never complained. He always wanted to do his best for David. As Jack stepped out of the truck, he noticed something unusual. Sitting alone near the corner of the gas station was a young woman. She looked very upset. Her clothes were simple but clean, and her brown hair fell messily over her face. She was sitting on the ground, hugging her knees, and quietly crying. Jack's heart softened at the sight. He knew what it was like to feel alone and scared. Without thinking twice, he walked over to her. "Hey," Jack said softly. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up quickly, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. She seemed startled but didn't say anything at first. "I'm Jack," he added, holding out his hand gently. "Do you want some water? It's late, and you look tired." She hesitated, then nodded slowly. Jack reached into his truck and grabbed a bottle of water. He handed it to her, and she took it with trembling hands. "Thank you," she whispered. Jack sat down a little distance away, giving her space but showing he was there if she wanted to talk. After a few moments, she spoke, her voice low and shaky. I'm pregnant." Jack's eyes widened in surprise, but he didn't say anything. He waited for her to continue. "I don't know what to do," she said, tears starting again. "I'm scared. I don't have anyone." Jack's heart ached. He thought about David and how much he loved his son. He understood the fear of being alone with a big responsibility. "Do you have a place to stay?" Jack asked gently. She shook her head. "No, I left home because it's too much for me. My family doesn't know. I can't tell them." Jack nodded slowly, thinking about how hard it must be for her. "Look," Jack said finally, "I don't know your whole story. But I know this: no matter what happens, you don't have to be alone right now. If you want, I can help you find a safe place." The woman looked at Jack with wide eyes. "Why would you help me? You don't even know me." Jack smiled softly. "Because sometimes, we all need someone to care. That's what I'm doing." She looked down at the ground again, then slowly smiled back. "Thank you, Jack." They sat there quietly for a few more minutes, the soft hum of the gas pumps the only sound around them. Jack felt a strange hope growing in his chest, even though he didn't know why. Before he left, Jack asked, "What's your name?" She hesitated, then said, "Emily." Jack nodded. "Emily, if you ever need help, you can find me here. I work at the diner down the road during the day." Emily smiled faintly, a small light returning to her eyes. Jack climbed back into his truck and started the engine. As he drove away, he looked in the rearview mirror. Emily was still sitting there, but now she wasn't crying. She was watching the night sky, lost in thought. Jack thought about his son David, sleeping at home, and about how life could change in one moment. He didn't know it yet, but this chance meeting at a quiet gas station would change both their lives forever. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the small town, casting a soft golden light on the streets. Jack was already awake, getting ready for his shift at the local diner. His little house was quiet. David was still sleeping, tired after a busy day at school yesterday. Jack felt tired too, but he pushed the feelings away. There was always work to do and bills to pay. As he got dressed, he thought about the girl he had met at the gas station last night. Emily. She had seemed so scared and alone. Jack hoped she was okay. At the diner, Jack poured coffee and greeted the regular customers with his usual smile. The diner was a warm place, filled with the smell of fresh bread and frying bacon. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other. During his lunch break, Jack decided to go back to the gas station. Maybe Emily was still there. Maybe she needed help. He hoped so. When Jack arrived, the gas station was quiet again. Emily was sitting on the curb, just like the night before, but this time she looked a little calmer. When she saw Jack, she gave a small, shy smile. "Hi," she said softly. "Hey, Emily," Jack replied. "How are you today?" Emily shrugged. "I don't know. Still scared." Jack sat down beside her. "Want to talk about it?" Emily looked at her hands. "I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to make your life harder." Jack shook his head. "You're not a burden. Everyone needs help sometimes." For a long time, Emily stayed quiet. Then, finally, she spoke. "My life, it's not simple," she said. "I come from a family that expects a lot from me. They want me to be perfect, to follow their plans. But I don't want that. I'm scared because I'm pregnant, and they don't know." Jack listened carefully. He saw the fear in her eyes. "Do they not know because you're afraid of what they will say?" Emily nodded. "Yes. They care about money and business, but not about what I want." Jack thought about his own struggles. He was just an ordinary man, working hard to give his son a good life. He didn't have money or power. But he had something important. He had love and honesty. "Emily," Jack said, "I know it's hard. But you don't have to face this alone. If you want, I can help you. There are people who can help too." Emily looked at him, surprised. "Why would you help me? You don't know who I really am." Jack smiled kindly. "Because everyone deserves kindness." Emily's face softened. She wanted to tell him the truth about her family, about the business empire she was supposed to inherit. But the words got stuck in her throat. She wasn't ready yet. Instead, she said, "Thank you, Jack. It means a lot." For the next few days, Jack and Emily met at the gas station whenever they could. They shared stories about their lives. Jack talked about David and his hopes for the future, and Emily spoke about her dreams and fears without mentioning her real family. Jack began to see Emily as more than just a scared girl. She was strong, even if she didn't realize it yet. And Emily started to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. One afternoon, while Jack was working at the diner, Emily stopped by to say hello. She looked a little better, but still tired. "Can I sit with you for a while?" she asked. Jack nodded. "Of course." They talked quietly, sharing simple things: favorite foods, memories from childhood, dreams for their babies. Jack noticed how much Emily wanted to believe in a better future. He wanted that too. For both of them. But beneath the calm, Emily's secret weighed heavily on her. Every time her phone rang, her heart skipped a beat. She knew her family was looking for her. And soon, she would have to face them. That night, Emily sat alone in a small motel room. The walls were bare, and the bed was hard. She looked down at her growing belly and whispered, "I don't know if I'm strong enough." Tears fell silently. But then, she thought about Jack, the man who had shown her kindness without asking for anything in return. She thought about the hope she felt for the first time in months. Maybe, just maybe, she could be strong. Back at his house, Jack checked on David before going to sleep. His son smiled sleepily and reached out to hold his hand. Jack thought about the girl at the gas station, about the secret she carried and the journey ahead. He didn't know what the future held, but he was ready to face it. Because sometimes, the greatest strength comes from the smallest acts of kindness. Days passed slowly, but for Jack and Emily, each meeting at the gas station was becoming a small light in their difficult lives. The night air was cool, and the hum of the pumps felt like a quiet friend watching over them. Jack was careful not to ask too many questions. He knew Emily was carrying a heavy secret, and trust needed time to grow. So instead, they talked about small things, favorite books, dreams, and simple joys. Slowly, Emily began to smile more. Jack noticed how her eyes lost some of their sadness, even if only for a little while. One evening, Jack stopped by after his night shift at the diner. The gas station was almost empty, except for Emily sitting on the same curb, wrapped in a soft jacket. She looked at him and nodded, a shy but genuine smile appearing. "Hi, Jack," she said quietly. "Hey, Emily," Jack replied, sitting down beside her. "How was your day?" Emily sighed, a mixture of tiredness and relief. "It was okay. I went to a small clinic today. They helped me with some tests." Jack's face showed concern, but also hope. "That's good. You're taking care of yourself and the baby." Emily nodded, then looked away for a moment. "It's hard, though. Sometimes I feel so alone. Like I'm carrying the whole world inside me." Jack reached out and gently touched her hand. "You're not alone. You have me. And soon, you'll have a child who needs you. You're stronger than you think." Emily's eyes met his. She wanted to believe him, but old fears still held her back. They sat in silence for a while, the night sky full of stars above them. The world felt big and scary, but somehow, right there, it felt safe. "Jack," Emily said softly, "can I tell you something?" Jack nodded, encouraging her without rushing. "I don't have much money. I'm not sure how I will pay for everything. I don't even have a place to live yet. I'm scared I won't be able to give my baby a good life." Jack's heart ached. He knew what it meant to worry about money and providing for a child. "Emily, I don't have much either. But I promise, we'll find a way. You don't have to do this alone." Emily looked at Jack with tears in her eyes. For the first time in months, she felt hope that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. Days turned into weeks. Jack and Emily's friendship grew stronger. Jack introduced her to some people at the diner who could help: a kind nurse, a counselor, and a few others who understood what she was going through. Emily was afraid to trust them at first, but with Jack by her side, she felt braver. One afternoon, Jack invited Emily to visit his small home. It wasn't much, but it was clean and warm. David, Jack's son, was there, curious and shy. Emily smiled when she saw David. The boy reminded her of the baby growing inside her, a new life full of promise. David reached out his small hand to Emily, and she took it gently. "Hello, David," she whispered. Jack watched the moment quietly. He saw a soft side of Emily that she rarely showed, the side of a mother ready to protect and love. That night, after Emily left, Jack sat in his kitchen, thinking about how much had changed in such a short time. He knew there were still many challenges ahead, but he felt ready to face them. He wasn't just a single dad anymore. He had a friend, someone to share the burden and the hope. For Emily, the days were still difficult. She faced moments of doubt and fear, but Jack's kindness was a constant light. One evening, Emily stood by a small window in a cheap motel room. The city lights sparkled in the distance, and she placed a hand gently on her belly. "I want to be strong," she whispered to the baby inside her. "I want you to know love, even if it's hard for me." She thought about Jack, the man who had shown her kindness without asking anything in return. The man who believed in her even when she didn't believe in herself. Emily realized that trust was like a seed. It needed time, care, and patience to grow. And for the first time, she was ready to let it grow. Life continued quietly for Jack and Emily, but beneath the calm, their two very different worlds were slowly moving closer, though neither yet knew how much their lives would soon change. Jack's days were busy as always. He worked early mornings at the diner and late nights at a warehouse. Every time he looked at his phone, he thought of Emily and hoped she was safe. His little house was filled with the laughter and energy of his son, David, who was growing fast and asking many questions about life and the new friend his dad kept talking about. Emily, on the other hand, was living in a small rented room far from her family's mansion. Her life had changed dramatically. From board meetings and luxury cars to worry and uncertainty, Emily felt like she was living two lives. During the day, Emily hid from the world, trying to avoid the phone calls and messages from her family. She didn't answer, afraid that if she did, she would be pulled back into a life she was trying to escape. At night, she thought about the baby growing inside her and the man who had shown her kindness without judgment. One rainy afternoon, Emily found herself sitting at a small cafe, watching raindrops race down the window. Her phone buzzed again, an unknown number. Her heart beat fast. She didn't answer. Instead, she sent a quick text, "Please don't contact me. I need time." Minutes later, her phone rang again. This time, she let it ring. Jack, working his shift at the diner, noticed her absence. She hadn't stopped by in 2 days. He tried calling her, but Emily didn't answer. Worry filled Jack's heart. He knew Emily was scared and hiding, but he didn't know what to do. One evening, after finishing his work, Jack drove to the cafe where Emily was last seen. He spotted her sitting alone, her eyes fixed on the rain outside. "Emily," Jack said softly as he approached. "Are you okay?" Emily looked up, surprised but relieved. "Jack. I'm sorry I didn't call. I'm scared." Jack sat down beside her. "You don't have to be scared alone." Emily hesitated, then spoke quietly. "My family is powerful and rich. They don't know I'm pregnant. They want me to follow their plans to marry someone they choose, to take over the business." Jack listened carefully. He thought about how different their lives were. His world was filled with simple worries: bills, work, raising his son. Hers was full of pressure, expectations, and secrets. "I don't want that life," Emily said, her voice shaking. "I want to make my own choices. But I'm afraid they will take everything away from me." Jack reached out and gently held her hand. "Emily, you're stronger than you know. And whatever happens, you have people who care about you." Emily looked into Jack's eyes and saw kindness and honesty. For the first time, she felt safe enough to trust. That night, Emily made a decision. She would not run forever. She would face her family, but on her own terms. And she wouldn't do it alone. Meanwhile, Jack's world was changing too. David asked more questions about Emily and the baby. "Daddy, will Emily's baby be my little brother?" David asked one night, his big eyes full of hope. Jack smiled and hugged his son. "Maybe, David. Maybe." Jack realized that life was not just about surviving, it was about believing in new beginnings. The days that followed were filled with small but powerful moments. Jack and Emily met often, sharing dreams and fears. Emily showed Jack parts of her world, quiet moments filled with courage and hope. One afternoon, Jack helped Emily pack a small bag. She was ready to go home, not as a scared girl, but as a woman ready to stand for herself and her child. "Are you sure?" Jack asked gently. Emily nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "I'm ready." Jack smiled, proud. "I'll be there with you." As they drove toward Emily's family home, the sky was clear and bright. Both knew the road ahead would be hard, but they had each other. And sometimes, that was enough. Emily's heart beat faster as the car neared the grand gates of her family's estate. The tall iron bars and polished stone walls were a sharp contrast to the small motel rooms and quiet gas stations she had come to know. She looked at Jack, who was driving steadily, his eyes calm and kind. Are you sure you want to do this? Jack asked gently. Emily took a deep breath. Yes. I can't keep running. It's time to face them. Jack nodded. I'll be right there with you. As they pulled up the long driveway, Emily's mind raced with memories of her childhood, the pressure, the expectations, and the silence when she didn't meet them. But this time, she was not alone. She had Jack and the hope for a new beginning. The front door opened before they could knock. A tall man with sharp eyes and a cold smile stepped out. Emily, he said, voice steady but cold. We've been looking for you. Emily's heart sank. This was her father, the powerful CEO who controlled the family empire. Jack stepped forward, his presence steady and protective. We're here to talk, Emily said, trying to keep her voice strong. Her father's eyes narrowed. You're making a mistake. The family has plans for you. Emily shook her head. Not anymore. I'm not the girl you want me to be. Her father's expression hardened, but before he could reply, a woman appeared behind him, Emily's mother. She looked tired but proud. We want what's best for you, Emily, her mother said softly. But we also want you to be happy. Emily felt a small hope flicker inside her. Maybe they could understand. Jack spoke up. Emily is strong. She's making a choice to live her life honestly. We're here to support her. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Then Emily's father sighed deeply. If this is your choice, Emily, you will have our support. But know this: your actions affect more than just you. Emily nodded. I understand. The conversation was hard, full of truths and fears. But for the first time, Emily felt seen, not as a business asset, but as a person. Later, Jack and Emily sat in the family's large garden, the stars shining above. Thank you for standing by me, Emily said quietly. Jack smiled. You don't have to thank me. We're in this together. Emily looked at the sky and whispered, I'm ready to be strong. For me, for the baby, and for all of us. Jack reached out and held her hand. We'll face whatever comes next together. The days after Emily's return to her family home were filled with a mixture of emotions. The grand house that once felt cold and unwelcoming now seemed a little warmer, though the tension still hung in the air. Emily's parents were trying to understand her choices, and Jack was quietly becoming a part of this new chapter. Emily spent her mornings walking through the family gardens, the soft sunlight touching the leaves and flowers. She found peace in these small moments, a chance to breathe and think about what lay ahead. One afternoon, Jack came over with David in tow. The little boy's bright eyes sparkled as he explored the large house and the garden, his laughter ringing through the halls. David, be careful, Emily said, smiling as she watched him chase a butterfly. Jack sat beside Emily on a bench. You're handling all this so well, he said quietly. Emily shook her head. Not really. Some days, I feel like I'm standing on a thin line. But having you and David here makes me stronger. Jack looked at her and smiled. We're a team now. We'll figure this out together. As the weeks went by, Emily began to take small steps toward building a life that was truly hers. She started attending business meetings, not as a quiet daughter but as a voice with her own ideas and dreams. Jack supported her every step of the way, proud of her courage and determination. One evening, after a long day, Emily sat with Jack and David around the dinner table. The meal was simple, but the warmth in the room was powerful. David looked at Emily and asked, "Will you stay with us forever?" Emily smiled, tears in her eyes. "Yes, David. I want to be with you both." Jack reached across the table and squeezed her hand. Family is more than blood. It's about love and trust. Emily nodded. I'm learning that every day. Despite the challenges, hope grew in all of them. Emily's parents slowly began to open their hearts, seeing the strength in their daughter's choices. Jack's world, once filled with worry, now held promise. One afternoon, Emily received a call from the clinic. The doctor said everything was going well with the pregnancy. She shared the news with Jack, who smiled and lifted her hand gently. "We're doing this," Jack said. "Together." Emily looked at the future with a new sense of peace. No longer afraid, she was ready to embrace the journey ahead. As the sun set over the family estate, the three of them, Jack, Emily, and David, stood together, ready to face whatever life would bring. Because sometimes, choosing connection means choosing hope. The day Emily went into labor was calm and quiet. Jack had stayed by her side through the long hours, holding her hand and whispering words of encouragement. David waited anxiously at home with Emily's parents, who had come to support her fully now. The hospital room was bright with morning light when the baby finally arrived, a healthy, beautiful girl with bright eyes that seemed to hold a world of promise. Emily held her daughter close, tears of joy streaming down her face. Jack looked on, his heart full. This small new life was a beginning not just for Emily, but for all of them. As days turned into weeks, the new family adjusted to their new rhythm. Emily's parents, once distant and cold, visited often, offering smiles and quiet support. David became a proud big brother, excited to help care for his new sister. Jack continued to work hard, but now his days were filled with laughter and hope. The struggles were still there, but they no longer felt so heavy. One afternoon, as Emily and Jack watched David gently rock the baby to sleep, Emily spoke softly. "I never imagined life could be like this," she said. "So full of love, even with all the challenges." Jack smiled. "Sometimes, the hardest journeys lead to the greatest joys." Emily nodded, feeling the truth in his words. Together, they decided to start fresh. Emily chose to take a smaller role in the family business, focusing instead on charity work and supporting young women who, like her, needed kindness and hope. Jack supported her dreams, proud to stand beside her. Their home was filled with love, laughter, and a promise that no matter what came next, they would face it together. One evening, as the sun set in warm colors over the town, Jack, Emily, David, and the baby sat outside, watching the stars appear. Emily leaned her head on Jack's shoulder. "Thank you," she whispered. "For everything." Jack kissed her forehead gently. "Thank you for trusting me." David looked up at them and smiled. "I'm happy we're all together." And in that quiet moment, beneath the sparkling sky, they all knew a new beginning had truly begun.